Hello and welcome to this video presentation. My name is Paul Brett. I'm a Senior Software Support Analyst for the Transformation Extender product from IBM. The topic for today's video is ITXCommandServer Toolbox. Feel free to reach out to me on popular social media channels at Paul Brett IBM. In this practical session, I will show you how to configure the Windows registry so that multiple utility commands can be added to the right-click context-sensitive menus. I will show you how to create a batch script to call the command server, providing the appropriate overrides to work on the selected file. Using a combination of these two techniques, you can have an army of toolbox commands that you can call up with a simple right-click. So here we have my Windows desktop, and as you can see on the left hand side here I have two files, one called temp.txt and the other one called input.xml. When I right click on either of these files, you will note that I have a context sensitive menu called ITXCommandServer, and then within that menu, which is a cascading menu, I have Export2Hex and SanitiseXML. Now that appears regardless of what type of file I click on. It will appear for every type of file. So let's take one of these files, temp.txt. If you have a look at the content, it's just a simple text file. This is a long line of data, full stop, and this is a second line, full stop. Okay, so my first utility command, ITXCommandServer Export2Hex, what this does is calls a script and then creates a version of the file with a .hex extension, and when we open that up you will see that the data has actually been printed out in full on the right here, but the hex representation of the bytes has been printed out in groups of 16 with line numbers so that we can see offsets. Okay, so how did we achieve this? If I fire up the registry editor and go through the HKey classes root section, move down to the section that's just marked with an asterisk or a star, move down to shell, I created an entry here called ITXCommandServer. I then added two keys, one called MUIVerb and one called subcommands. Within this key I created a key called shell, and within shell I created one key for each command that I want. As a sub key for that command there's a key called command, and then within there I point to the script that I want to run. In this case it is a script in my Windows System32 directory called Export2Hex.cmd, and then pass in the %1, which is the replaceable variable which will send in the file that I right clicked on, in quotation marks. So let's have a quick look at the content of this file. In this script I have a simple 3 lines. I have an echo to tell you what's happening. It's telling me that it's going to take the original file and it's going to take the drive, the path, the name and the extension, and it's going to convert it to the same file name with .hex on the end. So this is just an echo to tell the user what's going on. Then we have a line to set an environment variable to point to where my command server can be found. And then finally the call to the command server itself. Now this is calling up a map that I've got called ASCII to hex, using the if1 override to send in the name of the file, again, which is drive path name extension for object number 1. And then the output card is overridden with an OF1 with drive path name extension and .hex on the end. And I add a .r0 to stop the command server window from popping up. So that's how the export to hex works. Let's have a quick look at the other one. If we have a look here, we have an entry underneath shell that says SanitiseXML, and there's a key under that called command. This calls a script called SanitiseXML, also in the Windows System32 directory. Again sends in %1, which is the name of the file that I right clicked on, enclosed in double quotes. Let's have a quick look at this script. Pretty much the same as the last script. We've got an echo just telling the user what's going on, but instead of replacing the entire name, drive path name extension, it's going to do it to drive path name and then put an underscore sanitized.xml on the end. So this is going to assume that you've actually selected an XML file, but technically you could right click and use this particular command on any file that wasn't XML, and the map would probably fail or give you some weird output, but that doesn't matter. Second argument, again setting the location of the command server, and finally the line that calls the command server itself with those two labels that I have up in the echo line, drive path name extension and drive path name underscore sanitized.xml. So let's have a quick look, see what this one does. If we have a look at input.xml, you will note that it is a simple XML file with some random data in there, actual real data. So when we right click and choose ITXCommandServer SanitiseXML, the script is run. We end up with an input underscore sanitized.xml, and if we bring that up in the editor, you will note that all the data has been removed with sanitized versions, but none of the tags have been changed. Everywhere there was a capital, there still is a capital, but it's just converted to an A. Everywhere there was a letter has been converted to an A, and everywhere there was a number has been converted to a 0. So this is a tool that I use quite frequently to sanitize XML if I want to avoid GDPR restrictions. So there we go. There's a quick summary of how to create yourself a nice little toolbox of command server maps that you can right click on any file and execute on the fly. The registry commands that are required I will export to a .reg file and include that in the notes to this video. I will also include the 2 scripts, and the compiled versions of the maps I will upload to the user forum. I want to thank you for taking the time to watch my video today. If you found the content interesting and informative, please hit that like button. Consider subscribing to my YouTube channel, as I release content such as this on a regular basis. Feel free to reach out to me on popular social media channels at Paul Brett IBM. Thank you.